Bahrain, on the border with Saudi Arabia. A small Muslim country about to experience an exceptional event. The visit of the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, right in the heart of the Muslim world. It's a symbolic event, but the atmosphere is tense. This morning, Pope Francis is preparing to celebrate Mass in this Catholic church in the heart of the capital, Manama. Inside, men dressed in black are keeping watch. They are the Pope's personal guard.
Yes.
Marco is the team leader. He and his men have already secured the church. All the worshippers have been checked.
È tutto aperto, tutto a sinistra, vai tutto dritto, vai a finire dietro i rampiscafi. Ok? Ok. Bene.
Cos'è che state controllando?
I percorsi, le vie di fuga e i posti di servizio dei ragazzi.
In che senso le vie di fuga?
Se succede qualcosa abbiamo un percorso stabilito e portare in salvo il Santo Padre.
Ragazzi, delegazione a vista, secondo, arriva.
Pope Francis appears in a wheelchair. He has a knee problem that prevents him from walking. For the men in black, the critical moment is his entrance to the church.
Very happy to see him.
The Pope's appearances often cause hysteria among the faithful, who are only a few inches away from him. At 87, the pontiff is frail.
O magari qualcuno di un po' più esagitato potrebbe cercare proprio di avvicinarsi a lui scavalcando le barriere, sempre pensare al peggio.
It is vital to avoid a movement of the crowd that could injure him.
Sono lieto di trovarmi in mezzo a voi, in questa comunità cristiana che ben manifesta.
The men in black will keep watch over the audience throughout the Mass. They are not just bodyguards, but soldiers, all from Switzerland. They are the Pope's army. They are called the Swiss Guards. And they have all sworn to give their lives for the Holy Father. The Swiss Guards live in Italy, right in the heart of Rome, in Vatican City. With their multicolored uniforms and medieval halberds, they often seem quaint to the tourists visiting St. Peter's Square. What most people don't realize is that these men are real soldiers trained in combat and close protection. The Pope, like any head of state, is a potential target. In 1981, Jean Paul II was the victim of an attack in St. Peter's Square. It was a traumatic experience for the Swiss Guards, who have now reviewed all their security arrangements for Pope Francis.
Spera il meglio e aspetto il peggio.
The Pope currently represents 1.5 billion Catholics. Accompanied by his entourage, he travels to the four corners of the world to meet the faithful. Exceptionally, we were able to go behind the scenes on one of his trips.
32e pays que je visite avec le pape, mais c'est toujours le stress.
Caroline, ça va bien?
Très sympa.
Today, the Swiss Guards form an army of 135 men, all of whom have taken an oath to lay down their lives for the sovereign pontiff.
Si quelqu'un court avec un couteau contre le pape, je ne dis pas que je serais fier de tuer cette personne, mais je pense que c'est nécessaire pour le bien de l'Église.
An army with rituals from a bygone age. and traditional weapons forged by an Austrian family whose methods have not changed since the Middle Ages.
Und der Haken ist zum Runterreißen und der Spitz zum Zustechen.
They are 20 years old and have agreed to put 2 years of their lives on hold to serve their faith and the Pope. Who are these young men whose lives seem to be out of sync with the modern world? We're going deep into the heart of the Vatican's mysterious army. Every year, the Vatican recruits its troops from Switzerland. It is a 500-year-old tradition that the Pope is protected by soldiers from Switzerland. We are in Freiburg, in the heart of French-speaking Switzerland. This is where Leo has lived all his life. But at the age of 20, he's about to make a radical change. In a few days' time, he'll be leaving for Rome to serve the Pope.
Vêtements de sport, linge, toilette, un dictionnaire d'italien pour apprendre l'italien. Et la petite particularité, le masque à gaz de l'armée. Donc on verra bien ce qu'on fait avec.
Leo has already done his military service. It's compulsory in Switzerland. His bedroom has unusual decorations for a boy of his age. Religious pictures, a photo of John Paul II, and miniature Swiss Guards. For this young man, it's a childhood dream come true.
J'y songe depuis que je suis tout petit. Quel honneur de pouvoir être si près du pape. Et ensuite, je me suis dit, mais quel honneur de pouvoir intégrer la garde suisse, tout ce qu'on peut y apprendre, tout l'aspect historique du Vatican, de la religion, le côté militaire. Il y a tout un tas de choses qui m'intéressent, qui m'intriguent, qui sont réunies à un seul et même endroit. Et je pense que, étant donné que c'est une chance unique, pourquoi ne pas la saisir et puis foncer, quoi.
He applied a few months ago and was accepted. The Vatican then asked him to sign this surprising letter of commitment.
J'atteste par la présente que je suis citoyen suisse, pratique la foi catholique romaine, vis selon la morale de l'Église et que je me mets
A solemn undertaking in which Leo declares his willingness to defend the Pope, whatever the cost.
Du Saint-Père. Par conséquent, je suis prêt à donner même ma vie pour le Saint-Père et ses successeurs légitimes.
Leo's decision to sign up was no accident. His father, now a social worker, was himself a Swiss Guard 30 years ago. Here he is, in full uniform, in the 1990s.
Pour moi, c'était une très belle expérience. J'avais le même âge comme Léo quand il est parti. C'est quelque chose d'extraordinaire et j'en retiens que de bons souvenirs.
Leo meets all the criteria required by the Vatican. He is Swiss, single, a practicing Catholic, over 1.74 meters tall, and has completed his military service. His parish priest was also asked for a character reference.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment allez-vous?
Bien.
Je viens chercher mon costume.
Oui.
Il est prêt.
Il est prêt.
S'il vous plaît. Magnifique.
The final requirement before his departure is a black suit. The suit worn by Swiss Guards when they travel with the Pope.
T'es stressé un peu?
Un peu, ouais. On quitte notre petite zone de confort. Il y a l'excitation de partir à l'aventure et tout ce qui est aussi dire au revoir à sa famille, les adieux, ça fait bizarre aussi, ça fait tout bizarre.
Like all new recruits, Leo has signed up for 26 months with the Swiss Guards. It's the first time he has left home for such a long period.
Je suis très content pour lui. Mais bien sûr, il va me manquer, ça c'est sûr.
Ça va faire bizarre. Mais je suis fière de toi. Ça me fait plaisir.
Merci.
Rome. A few days later, the 14 new recruits to the Swiss Guard enter the Vatican. Leo is one of them.
Il y a du stress, il y a de l'excitation, de l'impatience. Hâte de savoir de vivre de nouvelles aventures en fait.
These young men are of course attracted by the military aspect of this adventure, but that's not all. They are all faithful and committed Catholics. Like Grégoire.
Il n'y a pas que le côté militaire au sein de la garde suisse, il y a tout le côté religieux. Et en servant au cœur de la foi catholique, j'espère approfondir ma foi et l'ancrer encore plus en moi.
Every year, the Vatican recruits around 30 new Swiss Guards. They discover the barracks where they will live for the next 2 years. A long corridor leading to Spartan rooms. No doors, barely 8 square meters and 2 narrow beds.
3 minuten, encore 3 minutes. Vous ne parlez pas.
They have a few minutes to settle in and put on their costumes under the watchful eye of their instructor, René, who has been a Swiss Guard for 6 years and demonstrates a very German rigor.
Sempre un mondo molto particolare qui in Vaticano e dobbiamo spiegare bene come funziona da noi, cosa è importante da rispettare e anche aspettiamo sicuramente tanta disciplina.
For some, there's a bit of a panic. They try to manage with the help of tutorials found on the internet.
C'est la première fois.
Non, c'est longtemps. Longtemps que je n'ai pas refait. Avec l'armée, quand on l'a fait une fois, on l'a refait plus, on l'a déchargé, c'est qu'on la remet.
Aiutatevi, anche per la cravatta. C'est bon, vous êtes prêts?
And while they are all dressed up in their best suits, it's not for a welcome party.
Le dernier, spegne la luce. Licht ausschalten, der letzte.
The young recruits have been here for less than an hour, and they will immediately be immersed in the atmosphere of the Vatican. A mass celebrated in the chapel reserved for the Swiss Guards. They all know that they are entering a different world. A closed universe governed by age-old rules and forbidden to ordinary mortals. The Vatican is a mysterious and secret place. There is, of course, the well-known face, the one that tourists see, St. Peter's Square and Basilica, which have 6 million visitors every year. With all the folk heritage, the religious trinkets, and the unmissable photos of Pope Francis. But above all, the Vatican is the seat of Christianity, an independent state right in the heart of Rome, the smallest state in the world, just half a square kilometer. But it's from here that the Pope reigns over 1.5 billion Catholics. In the Vatican, he is all-powerful. Along with Saudi Arabia, his is the last absolute monarchy ruling by divine right. It's a place of influence and power, surrounded by high walls, riddled with surveillance cameras. The Vatican is permanently protected. Outside its borders by the army and by the Italian police force. Inside by a group of Italian gendarmes and by the Swiss Guards, who have been providing security for the Pope for over 500 years. It all began in the 16th century, when Pope Julius II decided to hire an army of 150 Swiss mercenaries for his protection. At the time, these Swiss warriors were renowned for their bravery in battle and, above all, their unfailing loyalty. Amazingly, the tradition has continued. And the Swiss Guards have retained their iconic armor and uniform from then to today. A uniform that Grégoire and Leo, like all the new recruits, dream of donning. For the moment, they only have the shoes.
C'est les chaussures qui claquent. Ouais. Oh, incroyable! Oh, c'est parfait!
It's the day their uniforms are fitted. The Swiss Guard's tailor's workshop is located in the barracks. All the uniforms are made to measure here.
Giù le braccia, grazie. 42,5.
The person in charge here is Eti Ciccioni. He makes over 50 uniforms a year.
Questo mestiere lo faccio dal 97, quindi ho iniziato il mio 25° anno nella Guardia Svizzera.
The tailor has worked for 3 popes since he started this job. The Swiss Guard's uniform is a legacy of the Italian Renaissance. 154 pieces of wool assembled entirely by hand.
Si impiegano 39 ore a cucire una divisa.
C'est juste magnifique. Toujours de les voir en réalité, mais sans jamais pouvoir les mettre. Et là, enfin, pouvoir prendre les mesures et de pouvoir les toucher, pouvoir gentiment les mettre petit à petit, ça fait vraiment plaisir.
C'est fini. Merci.
Grazie a voi.
During their 2 years' service, the Swiss Guards live almost exclusively inside the Vatican. They almost never go out. They eat and sleep in the barracks. After 4 months in the dormitory, Grégoire now has a room with a view of the city of Rome.
En Suisse, j'avais la vue sur les montagnes qui me plaît beaucoup aussi, mais ici, avoir la vue sur Château Saint-Ange, sur des monuments historiques, ça change beaucoup aussi, et ça me plaît beaucoup.
Grégoire's life is quasi-monastic, the life of a soldier monk entirely dedicated to the Pope.
Quand on met l'uniforme, on représente une institution qui a plus de 2 millénaires. Ce qu'on représente avec l'uniforme, c'est le Saint-Père, c'est l'Église, et ça, c'est juste impressionnant.
Grégoire is on call day and night. Like all the new recruits, his role is to keep watch over the entrances to the Vatican.
Capito. Camarade, ti prendo il posto.
Camarade, ti lascio il posto.
Grazie.
Grégoire, like his colleagues, has no time off at weekends.
Buonasera, suora.
Sei nuovo?
Sì. Buonasera, prego.
And only 30 days holiday a year.
Certains voient plutôt vivre leur jeunesse en voyageant dans le monde, en faisant des études. Ben nous, pendant 2 ans minimum, je donne tout le temps que j'ai pour l'Église. Et je pense que vraiment, il y a un don total de soi. Je ne peux pas dire qu'il faut totalement s'oublier, mais il faut mettre beaucoup de ses intérêts de côté.
They sometimes work up to 60 hours a week.
Alors on gagne à peu près, en moyenne, 1 500 €, je dirais.
Ce qui n'est pas beaucoup.
Ce qui n'est pas beaucoup, non. Alors pour l'Italie, c'est très bien. C'est le salaire moyen qu'on a en Italie, mais après, par contre, pour la Suisse, c'est presque insignifiant. Quand le salaire moyen en Suisse est à 5 000 francs à peu près, un ouvrier gagnant 4 000, 4 500 francs, ici, avec nos 1 500 €, on ne vit pas en Suisse. Donc bon, après, ça montre aussi comme quoi on est vraiment ici pour servir, on ne vient pas ici pour l'argent.
But in return, these young soldiers are entitled to a few privileges, such as free access to places normally off-limits to ordinary mortals, including the Vatican Gardens, an incredible oasis of greenery in the heart of the capital. The gardens make up more than half the surface area of the Vatican. They are normally reserved for the priests, monks, and nuns who live there. But the Swiss Guards can train there whenever they like.
C'est vraiment un poumon vert, ça me permet un peu de respirer aussi. Et je dois dire qu'on a beaucoup de chance d'avoir ça parce que tous les gens qui vivent là autour à Rome et qui n'ont pas accès à ces jardins, eh ben, ils n'ont pas accès à cette nature, à ce calme. Si on suit tous les chemins à la course, qu'on fait tout, ça fait 22 km. J'ai fait une fois. Ça fait un gros labyrinthe, mais voilà.
In the evenings, there is little time for relaxation. The guards can leave the Vatican whenever they like, but they rarely have the time. So Leo and his friends never venture very far into Rome. Their base is a bar just 200 meters from the Vatican walls.
Juste là-bas. On voit juste, c'est écrit sous l'arc Morrison.
They try to get together there at least once a week.
Ciao, buonasera.
Santé.
One beer, but no more. Because even when they are not on duty, the Swiss Guards represent the Pope.
C'est une grande responsabilité parce qu'on représente les valeurs du pape et de l'Église catholique. Ça se voit, ça se sait, quand des jeunes arrivent dans un lieu, qu'on est garde suisse, et on peut pas, personnellement, je pourrais pas me permettre de finir torché sous une table, ivre mort, en train de vomir.
Le pape lui-même nous le rappelle, je pense, chaque année, lors de l'audience privée qu'il accorde aux nouveaux gardes qui prêtent serment et aux parents, vous êtes ma carte de visite.
Au nom du Père, du Fils et du Saint-Esprit, Amen. Merci Seigneur de nous avoir donné ce repas. Prions pour ceux qui n'en ont pas et prions pour ceux qui nous l'ont fait. Amen.
Even in this bar, they are practicing their religion.
Bon appétit. Moi personnellement, avant en Suisse, je le faisais pas tout le temps. Ça arrivait. Puis une fois que je suis arrivé ici, on le faisait régulièrement et puis c'est une habitude à prendre.
C'est pas une honte pour moi de le faire, quoi. Je l'assume et puis s'il y a quelqu'un qui a un problème, il vient m'en parler et puis voilà.
Vous n'avez pas l'impression d'être complètement à contre-courant du monde actuel?
Est-ce que ce serait pas le monde actuel qui serait à contre-courant de nous aussi?
But how far do the Vatican's religious rules influence their private lives?
Quand on devient garde suisse, est-ce qu'on fait vœu de chasteté?
Non.
Évidemment que non. On n'est pas des prêtres, on est des gardes, on est des militaires.
Vous savez que beaucoup de gens
fonder une
croient
famille
ça.
après 5 ans.
Pardon?
Après 5 ans, on a le droit de se marier à la garde suisse. Donc non, on ne fait pas de chasteté quand on rentre à la garde.
On a totalement le droit d'avoir une famille, une petite amie en dehors.
Of those around the table, only Mark has a girlfriend. He's been at the Vatican for 2 years and has just re-signed for another year.
J'ai une copine en Suisse, oui.
En Suisse?
Oui, en
Tu
Suisse.
avais avant?
Que j'avais avant, ouais.
Quand elle t'a dit, quand tu lui as dit, je pars garde suisse pendant 2 ans, qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit?
Ah bah c'est clair qu'elle n'était pas très contente aussi au début, ça c'est clair. Puis je savais que si je le faisais pas, j'allais regretter toute ma vie. Donc voilà, elle savait que je partais pour 2 ans, mais après pour plus longtemps, disons que c'était pas facile à la convaincre et tout ça. Mais après, si ça fonctionne maintenant, c'est que ça pourra fonctionner pour toujours, quoi.
Swiss Guards have the right to live with a woman in the Vatican. But there are 2 conditions. They must be married and they must have at least 5 years seniority. In the barracks, things are getting serious. The young recruits have to become soldiers as quickly as possible. And this accelerated training is provided by instructors from the Swiss Army. The Swiss Confederation covers half the cost of military training for the Vatican's Swiss Guard. In the mountains of Ticino, in the heart of Italian Switzerland, is the training center for the country's special forces. This is the base for the military training of new recruits to the Swiss Guard.
A toccare i cartelloni ai 30 metri, ritorno, go! Bis an 30 Metern! Fuoco!
All these young men have already completed 4 months military service, but this is a whole new world for them.
Tu hai già sparato prima?
Con la pistola mai, solo sparato col fucile d'assalto, il FAS 90 per il servizio militare, ma con la pistola è la prima volta e devo dire che è stato un po' più difficile per quanto riguarda la mira.
4, 5, 6.
This course lasts a month, and the young men will be learning close combat techniques with the special forces of the Swiss police. The aim is to be able to subdue a dangerous individual who has slipped in among the tourists in St. Peter's Square.
Signore, guardia svizzera.
Deux pas en avant! À genoux!
It's the first time that Grégoire has done this type of close protection exercise.
Pour moi, c'est un peu, pas dire que je suis surpris, mais c'est tout nouveau. Souvent, comme tous les touristes, on voit le garde suisse immobile à la porte de bronze avec son hallebarde, mais que ce n'est pas que ça. Et oui, ça me plaît, c'est aussi une responsabilité que le garde suisse doit assumer, qui est au niveau des menaces d'aujourd'hui.
For the Vatican, the main danger is not an attack by a terrorist group, but rather the act of an unbalanced person trying to kill the Pope when he is in contact with the faithful. Since taking office, Pope Francis has sought to be close to the people. He is making more and more public appearances, and this is giving those responsible for his security a cold sweat. Swiss Guard barracks, 5 a.m. A day of high tension begins for René, the corporal, because today is the Easter Mass, and he will be the Holy Father's bodyguard. For greater discretion, he'll be wearing civilian clothes, the black suit, and this rather special tie.
Questo uso soprattutto per i servizi della ravvicinata, per evitare questo che ti possono prendere alla cravatta. Quella si può tirare così e poi strappata. Oppure più veloce per metterla.
René practices boxing and combat sports. On his walls next to the crucifix, there are photos of Mike Tyson. At 29, he is one of the elite of the Swiss Guard. There are around 30 of them providing close protection for Pope Francis.
Quando poi sarò vicino a lui e farà il giro, lì dobbiamo essere pronti 100% e in tedesco si dice hoffe das Beste, erwarte das Schlimmste. Vuol dire tipo spera il meglio e aspetta il peggio.
He is equipped with handcuffs, tear gas, and a semi-automatic pistol, which he is not allowed to show to the camera. On Easter Day, 80,000 pilgrims are expected in St. Peter's Square, where the Pope will celebrate Mass. The Vatican is on its highest state of alert. The entire square is closely monitored. Swiss guards are patrolling the rooftops. At ground level, Italian gendarmes control access. This is the most important day of the year for Catholics. The faithful are celebrating the resurrection of Christ. And tradition dictates that the Pope will celebrate Mass in the open in front of St. Peter's Basilica.
Fratelli e sorelle carissimi, invochiamo la benedizione di Dio nostro Padre.
But for René and the Swiss Guards, the most difficult time is after Mass, when the Pope meets the faithful in his open white car, the famous Pope-mobile. Despite the risks and despite his age, at 87, Pope Francis is determined to reach out to the faithful. René is taking the lead. That's him at the bottom left of the screen at the front. He is scanning the crowd. Like all the other Swiss guards, he is thinking of the attack on John Paul II more than 40 years ago. 1981. In exactly the same place, St. Peter's Square. John Paul II was among the faithful. Suddenly, a man in the crowd fired. The Pope collapsed, shot in the abdomen. He was rushed to hospital, and his life only just saved. It was a traumatic experience for the Swiss Guards, who have since tightened all their security protocols. And up till now, there have been no further serious incidents. At the end of the ceremony, the Swiss Guards march past in full armor and uniform. A spectacle some spectators find moving.
Très traditionnel.
Ouais, je trouve ça très beau de garder justement une tradition comme ça.
Ouais. Et c'est surtout des jeunes, et ça je trouve ça bien aussi. Ça montre qu'il y a encore des jeunes qui s'engagent.
But that day, there were no new recruits among the troops on parade. The new boys haven't reached the required level of skill. They have to go through essential exercises, one of which they particularly dread. The sentry exercise. Grégoire, Léo, and their colleagues have to stand completely still and silent for 1 hour, holding a halberd. And strangely, you have to be taught how to remain motionless.
Se contrôler, de ne pas bouger, de ne pas gratter, etc., ça c'est la plus grande difficulté. C'est un bon exercice de faire parce que les garçons d'aujourd'hui sont plus habitués de rester fermés 1 heure ou 2 heures sans garder le portable ou des autres choses.
René, the corporal, supervises the exercise. He tests the recruits' endurance one by one. After 30 minutes, Grégoire starts to weaken.
Reste ici, pas tourner avec le corps. Omoplate en arrière.
While Grégoire is struggling for the right position, Léo sails through the test.
Ça demande pas mal de concentration, mais une fois qu'on est dedans, ça passe vite.
Respirez profondamente. Importante adesso anche di controllare che non fanno un cambio di colore nel viso per essere preparati in caso se uno sta veramente male, che siamo pronti.
È già successo che qualcuno si sentisse male?
Sì, abbiamo già avuto durante questo esercizio.
Sentry duty is an important part of the job. They can spend up to 4 hours a day guarding the entrances to the Vatican. But the Pope doesn't always stay within the walls of his city. He also regularly travels around the world to meet the faithful, and does not hesitate to go to countries considered to be high risk. The officers of the Swiss Guard are responsible for organizing his travel. They have agreed that we can accompany them on their next trip. Rome Airport at 7 o'clock in the morning. In the hall is the delegation that will accompany the Holy Father on his official visit. Around 60 journalists from all over the world. Among them is Caroline Pigozzi from Paris Match, who has been a Vatican expert for 25 years. She is one of a privileged group who meet the Pope on a regular basis. And she has her own methods for getting on well with Pope Francis.
Ça, c'est le cadeau pour le pape, pour ce voyage. C'est une Sainte Thérèse de Lisieux, parce qu'il aime beaucoup. Il dit toujours qu'il venait en France, il aimerait aller à Lisieux pour voir Sainte Thérèse.
Vous lui faites souvent des cadeaux?
Oui, à chaque fois. C'est moi qui ai inauguré ça lors du premier voyage. Quand on est allé au Brésil, je lui ai fait un cadeau. Et depuis, tout le monde lui fait des cadeaux. Buongiorno.
Pope Francis travels abroad about 10 times a year. He is the spiritual leader of 1.5 billion Catholics around the world. It's a figure that is constantly rising. While the number of Catholics is falling in Europe, it is rising steadily in Asia and South America. Today, the Pontiff is visiting Bahrain, a small Arab state on the border with Saudi Arabia, where 80% of the population is Muslim. The Pope has decided to go there to support the Christian minority living there. Around 30 gendarmes and Swiss guards will provide security for the pontiff for the entire trip.
Vous avez énormément de stress, parce que la responsabilité sur nos épaules est quand même assez importante. Et notre objectif est de protéger, quoi qu'il arrive, le successeur de Saint-Pierre.
The Pope is traveling at the front of the plane, on the other side of this curtain. But whenever he travels, he comes to greet the journalists.
Buongiorno, grazie tante per il vostro lavoro. Io vorrei salutarvi uno a uno, ma il problema è che oggi sono molto addolorato e non me la sento di fare il giro, ma sarebbe per me un piacere se il giro lo faceste voi. Vi saluto qui. Grazie.
One by one, the journalists then file past the Holy Father.
Che cosa gli hai portato?
Questa. Teresina.
La prossima volta gli porto una scultura sempre più grande.
This is the only time in the whole trip when journalists can talk face to face with the Pope.
Qu'est-ce que vous ressentez à l'instant?
Eh bien, toujours l'émotion, le cœur qui bat quand même. Parce qu'à chaque fois, c'est la 32e fois, je crois que c'est le 32e pays que je visite avec le pape, et c'est toujours le stress.
Perché Carolina è una serie di doni per...
Piccolo.
Caroline, ça va
Bonjour,
bien?
très Saint-Père. Ça, c'est un petit... Ma ça, c'est per il suo compleanno, perché come forse non avevo il 17 dicembre glielo do adesso. Sa che c'ho ancora la bottiglia di cognac che non ho potuto dargli.
La beva con la Jean Soldat?
No, perché siamo giù che se la beviamo insieme, non è possibile. Ma la posso portare un giorno in Vaticano?
Se io venissi.
After a 6-hour journey, the plane lands in Manama, the capital of Bahrain.
Aspettatemi i 4 buchi bianchi, vedete.
C'est la première fois au Bahreïn?
Oui, c'est la première fois. On a fait le tour du monde quand même. Merci, merci très Saint-Père, parce qu'on va des pays où on n'aurait jamais idée d'aller.
Bahrain is a small kingdom of 1.5 million people that has built its wealth on oil. It is a monarchy ruled with an iron fist by King Al-Khalifa. But this Muslim country is known for its tolerance of other religions, which is not common in this part of the world. For Bahrain, a visit from the Pope is a sign of prestige. The sovereign has arranged a sumptuous welcome worthy of the greatest head of state. The pomp and circumstance does not fit easily with the habits of Pope Francis, who makes his entrance seated next to his driver in a Fiat 500.
Pape en Fiat 500, on est content d'avoir la même voiture que lui. Moi, j'ai une Fiat 500 aussi. À chaque fois que je monte dedans, je dis je suis comme le pape, j'ai la même voiture.
The car is a sign of political will by Pope Francis. He has decided to make sobriety and modesty the watchwords of his pontificate. For Pope Francis, these diplomatic journeys to Muslim countries are essential. They give him direct access to the leaders so he can plead the cause of isolated Christian communities in these parts of the world.
The Pope actually is behind the peace in all of the world. So this is a very important thing.
C'est une visite historique, c'est une visite importante et ça permet de renforcer ce dialogue entre les religions.
But what's most important for the Pope is tomorrow, when he will meet the kingdom's 80,000 Catholics. In Bahrain, the faithful are all immigrant workers from Asia, mainly from the Philippines, Pakistan, and India. Jason is one of them. He's looking forward to the public high mass that the Pope will celebrate tomorrow morning.
Hello.
He has invited his entire family to his flat for the occasion.
My mother, and the mom, and my wife. And she has two sisters here. She's Shiva.
There are 15 of them in all. They come from Kerala in the south of India, where 20% of the population is Catholic.
And this is small baby, Mikaya.
Jason came to Bahrain 17 years ago. He is an accountant and his wife is a nurse. For this family, the Pope is a real star. Via social networks, they follow his every move almost in real time. Sheena, Jason's sister-in-law, has found a video that has particularly moved her. It shows the Pope meeting the journalists on the plane.
If I see that video itself, I'm more emotional, So, and it's very, speechless.
Would you be jealous of that journalist?
Of course, because, yeah, rarely, people can get a chance like this.
Tonight, as every evening, the family is praying before this altar dedicated to Christ and the Virgin Mary. The Mass is tomorrow morning, but the whole family is already getting dressed up.
I'm prepared to see my dream of a lifetime, Pope Francis tomorrow.
Tonight, no one will sleep because they already have to leave to make sure they have a place in the stadium where the ceremony is going to take place. When they arrive, thousands of people from all over the kingdom are already forming a queue.
It never happened in my life. The first time ever I'm waiting such a long queue.
It will take them 4 hours to get through all the security checks. The Swiss Guards are already on site. The last inspection before the Pope arrives. Marco is the team leader. This is his 10th official journey.
Guardiamo lo spazio per la papa mobile, vediamo anche ad esempio questi buchi qua per le transenne e così via, se ci sono dei volontari che assicurano il perimetro e così via. Ovviamente non possiamo abbassare la guardia, dunque questo è un fattore da tenere in considerazione. Un po' di tensione c'è sempre.
From the stands, Jason is watching them with envy.
How lucky they are to follow the Pope everywhere, anywhere he moves. I want to use this card. Oops.
Brothers and sisters, His Holiness Pope Francis is in the stadium. We ask you all to rise and give him a warm welcome as he's with us.
In the stands, there are 30,000 faithful Catholics, mainly from Asia. They are representative of the new Catholics the Pope wants to address. The Mass will take place without incident in the heart of this Muslim country. Back in Rome. After 8 months of continuous training, the young Swiss Guards have gained in confidence. Leo, the young man we filmed leaving his family, has been transformed.
C'est une expérience incroyable. Ça me plaît toujours autant. Je dis toujours que c'est toujours le meilleur choix que j'ai fait de ma vie. Tout ce qu'on peut vivre, c'est au niveau des émotions, au niveau de l'apprentissage. Je me sens aussi beaucoup plus sûr de moi, beaucoup plus posé. On est beaucoup plus calme. Il y a beaucoup de personnes comme ça qui disent qu'il y a un énorme changement entre le début des 2 ans et la fin des 2 ans, où les personnes sont souvent beaucoup plus calmes.
Military training has been stepped up. Today, the recruits are being trained to respond to a terrorist commando attack in the heart of the Vatican.
Vous pensez que ça peut arriver ici?
Oui, ça peut arriver partout, même chez nous en Suisse. Ici au Vatican, il y a le pape, l'Église. Il y a des gens qui en veulent, des gens qui ne l'aiment pas. Heureusement, ça n'est plus arrivé depuis quelques années, mais ça peut tout à fait arriver à n'importe quel instant.
Once again, instructors from the Swiss Army have come to Rome to train the recruits on site in real-life situations.
L'objectif, c'est d'identifier et neutraliser toutes les personnes avec des armes. L'exercice commence derrière cette porte.
The scenario is that terrorists have broken into the Vatican basements. They are armed and have taken hostages.
Room on the right, room on the left. And I take right. Room free.
Leo and his colleague must learn to control their stress. Their aim is to neutralize the attackers without harming civilians.
Arma ad guardia svizzera o sparo. Neutralizzato.
Inspired by their faith, Leo and Grégoire are ready to give their lives to protect the Holy Father.
Vous êtes vraiment prêts au sacrifice au nom de la religion du pape?
Oui, absolument. C'est difficile d'expliquer. Je pense que ça s'explique pas en fait. C'est nous, quand on vient là, on sait qu'on va devoir donner notre vie. On n'aurait pas à réfléchir. C'est là et on le fait.
Ready to be killed and ready to kill.
Ça ne te poserait pas de problème de tuer au nom de Dieu?
Je pense que, je sais pas, ça me fait beaucoup réfléchir, oui, justement, parce que tuer au nom de Dieu, c'est quand même la pire chose qu'on puisse commettre, qu'on puisse faire. Mais je pense que si quelqu'un court avec un couteau contre le pape, je ne dis pas que je serais fier de tuer cette personne, mais je pense que c'est nécessaire pour le bien de l'Église.
You can't always turn the other cheek. Located in the heart of the Vatican, the armory bears witness to a long military tradition.
Alors ceci, ce sont les épées des officiers de la garde suisse pontificale.
Par exemple, l'épée du commandant, c'est laquelle?
L'épée du commandant, c'est celle-ci.
Ce sont de vraies épées, ça, qui peuvent porter des coups.
Alors ce sont des vraies épées, oui, exactement.
The helmets and breastplates, some of which date back to the 16th century, are still used by the Swiss Guards. Some suits of armor, like this one, are worth a small fortune.
Celle-ci est du commandant et celle-ci est du vice-commandant. On peut voir les emblèmes aussi. Il y a l'emblème du Saint-Père, Benoît XVI, qui a été faite pendant le pontificat Benoît XVI, et celle-ci qui a été faite un peu après pendant le pontificat de François.
Ça vaut combien une cuirasse comme celle-ci?
Je pense que là, on serait sur les 15 000 euros.
Although it doesn't look it, this is a recent suit of armor, but it is forged in the traditional way, entirely by hand. The Vatican has managed to find an astonishing family of blacksmiths to make it. They live in Austria at the foot of the Alps and work in the purest tradition of medieval blacksmiths. Johann and his brother Georg come from a family of craftsmen whose lineage dates back to the 14th century.
Wir haben Schmieden vom Vater gelernt und der vom Großvater und vom Urgroßvater. Also ist einem über Generationen weitergegeben worden. Und wir arbeiten mit traditionellen Schmiedetechniken noch, wie im Mittelalter.
Their family name, Schmiedberger, literally means the blacksmiths from the mountain. The next generation is already here. Maximilian, Georg's son, is just 14 and already works full-time in the workshop.
Was? Ja, so, du. Wart. Und ich was sag.
Today, the family forges all the traditional weapons of the Swiss Guard. A suit of armor takes between 100 and 400 hours to make. But at the moment, they are finishing the latest order from the Vatican for halberds, the iconic weapon of the Swiss mercenaries. It has so many functions that jokers say it's the ancestor of the Swiss knife.
Also, das Beil ist zum Zuschlagen. Und der Haken ist zum Runterreißen und der Spitz zum Zustechen.
500 years ago, the Swiss Guards were almost all exterminated when Emperor Charles V took the Vatican. Every year, to commemorate their sacrifice, new recruits to the Guards swear an oath on the 6th of May, the anniversary of the massacre. In a few hours' time, Leo and his friends will be swearing their loyalty to the Pope. For the occasion, they will all be donning the famous armor. 15 kilos of steel they will have to carry for 6 hours straight.
On jure sa vie, fidélité, d'être toujours là pour le pape et à jamais. Donc même une fois qu'on a fini nos 2 ans de service, on est toujours garde, même après. C'est pour toute la vie. Ouais, c'est pas du vent, quoi.
A rite of passage that Leo's parents are looking forward to. 32 years ago, on the same spot, his father also took the oath.
Ça vous fait quel effet de revenir ici, place Saint-Pierre?
Bon, une fois garde, toujours garde. Donc, même si je rentrais après 2 ans en Suisse, un bout de mon cœur est toujours resté ici parce que c'est un peu c'est resté quand même un peu notre maison ici. On se sent tout de suite à la maison.
Est-ce que vous avez l'impression qu'il devienne un homme, Léo?
Oui, il s'envole.
Il s'envole, oui.
Il s'envole.
Ouais.
Exceptionally, the families of the young recruits are allowed into the heart of Vatican City. These 36 boys, just out of their teens, will swear to serve Pope Francis and his successors. To the death, if need be. Grégoire's voice is full of passion. After 2 years' service, Leo and Grégoire will have to make a choice: return to Switzerland and become ordinary citizens again, or join up and carry on the tradition over 500 years old. Of these, the last Swiss mercenaries who protect the Pope.